told Marge it was none of our business. But you know Marge.
Well, I was on Wall-E for about 2 years. How long were you guys on?
About 2.5. Yeah, I was working on Wall-E for about 2.5 years.
Yeah, the whole film takes about 4 years, at least 4 years, from beginning to end. But we all ramp on and off at different times.
"4 years to make a movie." I knew that was going to put a bee in Marge's question bonnet.
Was this your first time working with Pixar, or have you guys worked with them before?
We've been there a while.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been there about 7 years.
I've been about 9 years.
And 6.
I would say that we've actually seen a democratization almost of the visual effects.
Things can always be changed. You don't have to commit. In the photographic days, you had to, if you were going to do it, everybody had to get their ducks in a row, and you had to agree, and you did it. And once it was done, it was done. That was it. That's what you got.
It's part of what they've been driving for all along anyway. So technologically, it was enabled, but if we had done it earlier, they would have done it earlier, because they want to tell fantastic stories in fantastic environments.
We wanted unapologetically to play with the big boys. We were a big summer movie. We were between Iron Man and Dark Knight and all those kind of things. And we didn't want to give anything up to those films in the look of our effects. So, having great effects was like a big priority for us.
It's now possible to make phenomenal effects around the world.
And the thing that really struck me is that the industry as a whole has gained considerable mastery over this new technology. It's really impressive wherever we see it.
And it actually allows filmmakers a much more flexible way of approaching not only what kind of effects they can do, but also where, what kind of schedule they can do it on.
And I think also that digital media has kind of given way to it's invited in a little bit more of a corporatized way of thinking about doing things.
And the fact that we can create characters that look realistic, but actually are a combination of animators and actors and writers is part of what they've been driving for all along.
So we could capture the stuntman, or in some cases Robert, and then in other cases people back at ILM. And so we had a variety of different people performing the character in different situations, and then we also had the animators at ILM animating a lot of the shots. All the flying shots and even many of the ground-based shots were hand animated, but we would sort of take our cues from what Robert had done or the stuntman.
That was all Marge needed to hear. She could take a cue, and she was always prepared. And when it came down to business, Marge said you always have to have a plan for attack.
How did you actually come up with your plan for attack?
I started on the film at the first day of prep. Okay. So I was integrated with the art department. Mark Friedlander and I worked together designing what the overall city was going to look like and feel like. So we worked with him, and then ultimately Fred Elms to figure out how best to shoot the entire film so that the art department could build as little as possible and we could do as an effective a job as possible.
I do think that now that studios hire young first-time directors, and they're not necessarily the people that are driving the movies. There will be studio executives and corporate executives and marketing departments that directions flow back down through.
Actually, we never worked directly with each other very much on the feature. It's very kind of an assembly line. He does the design. Well, I guess you guys probably had a lot of interaction.
We did. Jay and I worked a lot together. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess I did complain about your rigging sometimes. So
that was our interaction.
And Austin complained about my design sometimes. So it kind of traveled down the chain.
And then you complained about my animation a lot.
Yeah. So it was kind of a circle.
That's a lot of complaining, fellas.
Yeah.
There was lots of camaraderie too.
But you know what? There was resolve, and there were solutions.
Well, what's the key to a good collaboration like this?
I think it's no one, no egos. I think it's everybody sort of reaching for the same brass ring, at the same time.
Did you say a good director is deferring to you, to your expertise? If he's doing his job right?
I think in some areas, yes, but I think they need to not let us dictate things in his area.
One person needed something, we shared things. It wasn't one company against another. it was utilizing elements together so that it was all very consistent.
It adds an emotional dimension to the storytelling. If you can do that with special effects, then I think you've made a major breakthrough.
You know, if you can imagine, like, playing the piano, but not hearing it until like a day later, but like building a skill so that when you knew that you were doing that the next day, you were going to get something back, but you were never quite sure exactly what it was. So it was always like some kind of a magic that came as a result of that.
Team effort.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people behind these 3 trophies.
Well, I'll say.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Okay. Well, if there were a lot of people behind that trophy, I couldn't see them. But I think maybe they wanted it that way. The folks at the Visual Effects Society. You had to tip your hat to them.